Hey, welcome back, everyone. Greg Helbeck here, and I got my good friend on today, Cory Boatright from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. How you doing, my man?
What's up? What's up, Greg? What's going on?
What's up, man? I'm pumped to get you on the show. Cory and I had dinner probably about 3 months ago now, and we hit it off right away, and we've been texting ever since. And I'm like, man, I started the show up. I got to get Cory on the show because I'll tell you what, I got started in the business listening to a lot of Cory's podcasts, and I've gotten so much value from him and the guests he's had on. So I had to ask him to come on the show and provide some value for us today. So I'm glad to have you, Cory.
I appreciate you having me. It's an honor to be here, man. And man, you're crushing it right now. I'm just so impressed with you.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. So you mind sharing with everyone kind of your intro, your background? You got a pretty cool story, and I think the listeners will get a lot of value from that to begin with.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Cory Boatright. I am a real estate investor and an entrepreneur. I have fell more times than I can care to really go over, but I started a lot of different companies, and most of them basically failed, but two of them succeeded. One of them I sold, and it was in a called Plasma Electronics. And then also got into real estate investing. And that's where we are today. I have a real estate investing team and two companies primarily that focus on wholesaling. And then I have JV partners and GP partners in syndication for multifamily. As of right now, we have about 422, potentially 622 doors that are under or GP management and syndication 422, potentially 622 coming up. We had a LOI accepted on multifamily on those doors, and that's been absolutely incredible journey there. I know you and I talked about that as well, Greg, and something that you certainly shared a lot of interest in, which I think is great. And then wholesaling, we do about 100 deals a year with both companies, my JV partners and my own company. And I really run a big lifestyle business, and I'm very, very big on being intentional and focused. And believe it or not, a big challenge for entrepreneurs is focus.
Oh, absolutely.
It's absolutely one of the Achilles heels for entrepreneurs. I mean, raise your hand if right now, while I'm talking, you're thinking about 5 other things you could be doing.
It's amazing.
Right? It's incredible. And it's because we're so driven to be able to achieve. But changing the mindset is, what if we achieve the most by doing less? It's a really strange way of thinking. I get it, because whenever you look at quantity, you feel like you've achieved more. But that is not the case whenever you're actually being intentional. Often more quantity, if it's not being intentional, is noise. So maybe we could speak to that a little bit more. But a part of my journey is I work with students. We talk about mindset, things like this. We talk about getting their perspectives correctly. I think one of the power of working with a coach is having a different perspective. You're not necessarily in those same weeds that they are. You're not in that same necessarily that market, and you're really getting a chance to get a high level overview. I spent a time with a guy named Eben Pagan that ran a 50 million plus business a year with 80 virtual assistants, and he was one of the masters that I really learned on getting altitude of what's going on in your life and in your business. So those are the things that we also focus on as well. But yeah, so we're just real estate investing right now is wholesaling, multifamily for long-term wealth and legacy, and coaching and consulting because I love it. I just absolutely love to make an impact in people's lives, and it means more to me than a big check that we might get from a deal. So those are the 3 things, man.
Absolutely, man. So guys, if you're listening and you're brand new to the show, Cory is a power player. This guy's been in the business for a long time. Cory, how long have you been in the REI business for? Because you're a serious veteran here in the industry. You know, this is not a rookie we're talking to today.
Veteran.
I don't bring rookies on the show.
So it's interesting because I've seen some of the guys. So I've been in business now for over 15 years, investing. You know, I'm 42 right now, and June will be 43. I feel a lot older than that, but you know, I've done a lot of different things, and so I'm grateful of all those different challenges and opportunities that come from those. So I've been in business for over 15 years, and I really started, I mean, from the very beginning, bird dogging, finding deals, moving to wholesaling, started my own fix and flip little business, and I couldn't stand it, still can't. God bless anyone that does it well and loves it. It just absolutely is not the thing for me. Started a big wholesale or a big short sale business back in the crash when 2007, 2008 and on. Started a loss mitigation company, started a short sale software company, grew to over almost 5,000 users. 3,500 of them were paying $97 a month. I mean, a pretty significant $400,000 a month business. Went up and down the ventures of short sales. As you know, now it's really difficult to get those things.
Oh, yeah.
Back then it was getting harder to get them approved. Shut my loss mitigation company down in 2012, at the end of 2011 to start of 2012. And just went through a bunch of challenges, red tape. We had lots of deals on the books. Nothing was getting approved, or if it got approved, it wasn't closing. Lenders were requiring disclaimers and all kinds of things that was just making it harder. We are also working with other clients, so their deals would get approved. We would get a loss mitigation fee for getting the deal approved. And I had a senior loss mitigator working on my side of the table, which was awesome. She used to work for a bank, so she was working for me now. And we were getting deals approved, but they weren't getting closed. And we were just having a lot of issues. I had some challenges with my partner on the software, and it was just a big mess. So I went through some personal challenges as well during that time. It seems like when it rains, it pours, right? And it was like in into 2011, beginning of 2012, it was like, I'm just going to I need 3 or 4 months to just decompress. You ever been there before, Greg? Like,
oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely, man.
You enjoy the fight, right? You enjoy the challenge. You enjoy the challenge of whatever it is you're going through. And so you're not going to let it, quote, take you down, take you out. You get hit, you get back up again. But there is at some point where you go, man, if I'm not decompressing, it's like a battery on your cell phone that no matter how powerful all the apps are and the memory that you have, it absolutely is useless with a dead battery. Now that's actually, it's a great mindset thing as well, because believe it or not, a lot of entrepreneurs that are listening right now, especially wholesalers and fix and flippers in the real estate investing business, you're running on dead batteries. And I know this because I ran on a dead battery and I thought I could still perform all the actions the same way. You ever have one of those computers where it says memory's running out, or on your Mac sometimes it says your RAM's full if you don't have some tools to fix stuff.
Yeah.
Or in your PC you get viruses.
It
starts making things slower, right?
Yeah.
Imagine that you're the PC or you're the Mac. Inside joke, I'm the Mac. So imagine you are the operating system and you aren't decompressing. You're not recharging your batteries. You're not putting any kind of value to that in your life. All you're doing is just performing. Just the next deal, performing, stepping up to the plate, ding, ding, ding. You out there with the boxing gloves and you're going at it. And that's, business is a sport. Mark, not Zuckerberg, but Mark Cuban said, business is a sport. I think he has a book. It's like the sport of business, right? So when you're in the ring, there's a reason why there is a ding, ding, ding and a pause so that fighters can go back to their corners, get some water, think about what's going on before they step back up again to take those swings. That little 15, 30 second, 1 minute kind of a decompress mode, right, can really do a lot for you. Now, imagine what 3 months could do for you. Okay, 3 months too much? Well, imagine what 1 week could do for you. Entrepreneurs I talk to, Greg, they work so much and they put a badge of honor. Like, I don't have to stop working.
Yeah, the hustle thing, right?
Yeah, you have to stop working. I don't have to stop working. And funny, whenever I was selling Kirby home cleaning systems back in my teens, right, I remember having this attitude. So I know it really well. I remember having folks that were much older than I was. Imagine I'm in my teens in sweaty Oklahoma, 100-degree hot weather, knocking 100 doors a day, putting on these demonstrations to clean dirty carpet and nasty pet hair and whatever else. I'm sure there's a couple of bed bugs, lots of dead skin,
cockroaches,
nasty, right? Cockroaches. I mean, everything you imagine, cleaning these, right?
Yeah.
And trying to find excitement about this, right? And I remember thinking, you know what? I'm going to beat the other person that was older than me because he has to stop and eat.
It's amazing how powerful. Yeah, you're just in hard charge mode the whole time.
Hard charge, man, right? And let me bring a point back to this. The point back to this is that hard charge mode is absolutely 100% effective if you're in a race or you're in a situation where you can go fast with not many obstacles and have efficiency. But who thinks it's a great idea to go 100 miles an hour in a school zone?
Yeah, right?
Right? And I know that this is not a feel-good message of rah, 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 let's get it done, let's make it happen, all that stuff. You have to think about how are you most effective, not how hard can I charge, right? How can I get more accomplished with intentionality, not how can I get 5 things going at once and have all this stuff buzzing around in my head. If you're listening right now, one of the best things that you can do as an entrepreneur is get a tool like Evernote. I know you use it because we both share these links, Greg. And you can decompress or you can brain dump all of this stuff that's going on in your head on a daily or even the bare minimum, a weekly basis. This stuff floating around in your head, I want you to think about this. It's like one of those money machines that you step in, Greg, and, you know, all the stuff is like flying around, you know, you're like.
Yeah, it's like at my graduation, there's like a carnival and there's money flowing everywhere.
Yeah, there's stuff flying everywhere, you know. I just hit my mic, but, you know, you're like flying around. And then like, so you see the 100 and you grab it and then you drop the other bill and that might be a bigger one. There's a 500. And so you only have 2 hands. But entrepreneurs think we're an octopus and we have all these different hands and technicals that we can, like, how can I have 10 fingers, but how can I hold anything unless there's like tape on it, right?
Yeah.
You can't, right? And certainly you can't effectively. You can't grasp it. You can't control in a good way. There's negative control, positive control, but you cannot control these different pieces of a business effectively whenever you have too much stuff blowing around. So how much easier is it to just stop the wind?
Oh man, I love everything, guys. If you're listening to this stuff right now, this stuff that Cory and I are talking about is more important than the tactical stuff that you guys can learn. Because if you don't have the mindset and the ability to reflect, there's a great book, Cory, you've probably read it, called Principles by Ray Dalio, one of my all-time favorite books. And he's like, pain plus reflection equals progress. And ever since I read that book, I spend every Sunday for at least an hour locked in my office, reflecting, looking down from a higher perspective, looking at how the machine's operating, looking at my feelings, look at the numbers. How'd we do? What happened? What was the root cause? And the ability to do that has allowed me to progress month over month over month over month because I'm looking at everything from a higher perspective and I'm not just sitting there like, how many leads did we get? What's the offer? What's this? I'm sitting and I'm like, what was the root cause? Why didn't we get that deal? What could I have done better? Who can I ask for help? What's the root cause of and I'm just thinking about stuff from a higher perspective. And if you guys are in the weeds and you want to, scale your businesses or whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. You have to, I call it slow down to speed up, right? Because if you're just going fast, you got to hit the brakes and see, like, are your activities effective? Are you working 4 hours a day and spinning your wheels? Like, the biggest mistake I think a lot of new investors make, and this is something I would make, is I would mistake activity for productivity. I thought because I put the work in, I should get the results. The market doesn't care except for the value you can provide it. So if you can spend an hour a day and provide value, you're going to make much more money than the guy spending 12 hours a day wasting his time. you know?
Absolutely.
So this stuff is so powerful. And Cory, I'm glad you kind of got into the weeds on that, because this is a message a lot of people need to hear. I think also something that I see is a major issue is that everyone, and you definitely see this a lot, is they're comparing themselves to others from a negative perspective on social media. They're seeing, oh, John's the king of mobile homes, so I must be a mobile home guru. And then Rick's the best rehabber. And like, it's crazy, you know? And I actually delete social media sometimes, and I just shut it off. And I'm like, I'm focused. I'm in my lane. These are my goals. This is why I want my goals. And I'm going to get freaking focused on this.
I love it, man. You know, it's one of the guys that I know that does this best is a guy named Jason Medley. He's my best friend. He is one of the founders of a Collective Genius, which we'll be at in another week and a half. Been at it for almost 9-10 years. Helped him start that many years ago, bringing some people to it. And been at it for the whole time, you know, for over 9-10 years together. And seeing the thing just blow up and just absolutely go crazy. And one of the reasons why is because of the values and intentionality that comes to why are you doing what you're doing? Well, I want to make $100,000. Why? Well, I want to pay some bills. Why? Why do you want to pay those bills? So I can not feel the stress. Oh, why are you feeling stress? Because I'm not spending time with my people that I want, my family, my wife, my kids more. Why? Because I'm stressed out and I don't have any kind of structure. And why don't you have structure? Because I hate structure. Why do you hate structure? Well, because it makes me feel compressed. Why does it make you get down to this core where it's like, you know what? I need to change the way that I think. And let me just give you a couple of things. And I want to talk some tactics too, because I know people are like, you know, this is great, but I also want to hear like, how do you get deals and where your leads are? I get it. Yeah. But this is really, really important. Okay. Whenever you let go of control, you get more of it. Okay. And what I mean by that is that when you are physically handling every little thing in your business, you do not have a business, you have a job. And you probably heard that. So it's not anything new. Certainly if you read the book E-Myth, you've got some concept of that. But let me take it another step after that, right? Not only do you have a job, you have a low paying job. So it isn't like you have a high paying job that you think you do, because if you add up the time that you're taking, and if it's the value of time means anything to you, which I think everyone listening would say yes. So you're trading that time now for dollars. Now we all do that in some shape, way, or form. But once you consciously make the decision that I am going to do that thing, I'm going to do that thing, I'm going to do that thing, and you personally are putting yourself in the position to do all these things in your business, one is you leave no room for any team member to come in and help you make it absolutely great and make it better than you could even imagine. You don't give that even a shot because you think you can do all things well. And here is a shocker. You can't.
I love it.
And this is a good word right now. Can't is not it's not a cuss word. Even though you feel like I just cussed at you, you know, because you tell an entrepreneur you can't do something, that's the easiest way to make them do it. I get that part of the inspiration, the motivation. I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about if there's a steel wall in front of you and you're in a steel room, no matter how many times you hit that thing with your head, with your hand, with your feet, you're not getting through it. So at some point you go, I can't do this, and it's a positive thing. But here's why you have to spin it. Whenever you say I can't do something, you have to change the direction of going, how can I achieve X? So it isn't that you can't get through the wall. It's you personally hitting your head, fan, kicking it with your leg. You personally aren't going to be able to get through it. But if you had, you know, some freaking bulldozer or something that you could use as a tool, or you had somebody else that came in as experts on removing walls, then you could. And you have to just change the way that you think. All right. So that's one thing I wanted to just get out there, that building a team is crucial to having long-term success and giving you ability to have a business that you created which every entrepreneur wants to have a business that I've ever spoke to that has a business that serves them, not them serve the business, not them be a slave to the business. They want the business to serve them, so then they can impact the world with this big business, right? I always talk about FedEx is not one big business. It's small business duplicated, right? You have systems and processes that are in order to allow you to scale and have big impact.
Absolutely, man. I love it. And that stuff is so important because I think people, I think they get caught up in the, in the checks and in like all the stuff. And that's great. It's definitely important, but they get themselves stuck where they're like, oh my God, what did I do? I created all this havoc. I have this shiny object syndrome. I got all these calls to take. And it really throws a lot of people off. And I think when you can really slow down to speed up, and that's why I'm glad we talked about a lot of the stuff in the beginning that like anchored the show with this, is because if you can have this mindset and then you can apply some cool tactics we'll talk about, you're going to be like a rocket ship going up to the moon, because you're going to have the mindset anchored first, and then you'll have the good tactics that we can talk about in 2019 on how to actually get deals, and you'll just be a force to be reckoned with. So Cory, man, thank you so much for sharing, a lot of that powerful stuff with all the listeners. So let's pivot over now to, another thing I'm seeing on the internet and people are talking is, oh, it's so competitive. Oh my God, I got 10 people calling me, da, 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 da. So and I know you're a very good marketer. That's something we talked about a lot at dinner that one night out in the Gaslamp district. And so what are some of your keys, to becoming a successful marketer in 2019? Because the market's definitely shifted. There's some things that have changed. There's different ways to kind of get deals now that not a lot of people are talking about. So just a couple tips that you have for people who want to be a better, more effective marketer in today's age, not 5 years ago.
Yeah. Great question. So one of the things we talk about is mindset, mechanics, and money, right? And so the first thing I just want you to reiterate just what you said. Mindset is 8. I think Tony Robbins says like 76% of all the successful people that he's ever interviewed or anything in his life all comes down to mindset. So that's why we spent the first 15 minutes talking so much about it. Now mechanics is more of the how-to stuff and the tactics and the strategies, and marketing is what I love almost more than anything. You get me in a room to talk marketing, I cannot get a smile off my face. Some people I know can't stand it. I absolutely love it. I enjoy understanding what makes people take action. And direct response marketing is a particular type of marketing that basically is somebody sees something and they take action immediately. So a lot of these postcards that you have, call me if you want to sell your house today for cash. A letter, if you have distress, we'll buy your property as is. Call for an appointment. Call for this. Call right now. Text right now. Click here online. You see direct response with opt-in pages would be click here to get your free thing, right? So this is direct response marketing, and I'm super excited about it. However, you have to look at technology, in my opinion, as an advantage point in your direct response marketing. So if you just are a one-trick pony, there's a power to having that focus 100%, but you also should look at leverage of what you have existing in your assets. So if you can get more out of the squeeze, right, then why wouldn't you do that? And I'm not saying, be all over scattered. I'm talking about getting more out of the squeeze. So if you have a way that, and you have to start thinking about your prospects, motivated homeowners, right, that want to sell for cash for whatever reason. Think about one person. What is all the different ways that you can contact that one person that you want to, that if they called you, that you would be able to be a solution provider for them. You'd be able to get their property and pay them cash for it quickly, which is the reason they're calling you and not calling an agent. And they also want clarity. They want to have peace of mind. They want to know that it's done. Often the people that we are talking to in the wholesaling business and the people that sell these properties at a discounted rate, for us in Oklahoma, it's between 40 and 60 cents on the dollar. I know on the East and West Coast, it's more, 85 cents on the dollar or higher. But there's ways that you can get in front of them. And direct mail is one that's very, very powerful. Direct mail is great because you can turn it on and turn it off like a faucet.
I love that analogy, man. It's so true.
Yeah, and you can, once you figure out what your KPIs are, your key, performing indicators, then what happens is you can now structure a way where you know that X amount of direct mail that goes out to X data list it historically has performed by this many calls. Now calls, and you know this, Greg, are not the same thing as leads, not to us. Calls are just people saying, I'm raising my hand and interested. But they may say, I'm interested to call you to let you know that I don't want you to ever talk to me again. They may say, I'm interested to call you because you're ticking me off and I want to give you a piece of my mind. They may say, I'm interested because, you know what, I need to sell my property. And so you have to be very good at understanding which of those are which, right? And so for us in our business, it's between 25 and 30%. I think it's been the lowest 22 or 23%, but 25 to 30% of the people that out of 100, let's just look at 100, out of 100 people that call in, 25 to 30% of them are going to say, no, I don't have a house for sale. Stop calling me. Remove me from
your list. Oh man.
Writing stuff on the postcard that isn't very nice.
And mailing it back to you.
Letting them know that they can't stand the idea of you sending them a postcard and how you're invading, quote, your privacy, even though that their information is publicly available and they even, quote, provided it and agreed to. They just forgot that they did so many years ago. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to get in touch with them. You don't get in touch with people that are they don't have their information just publicly available for you can send information to them. So direct mail is very, very powerful, and calls are not the same thing as leads. Now, when leads come in, then from there, we have to decide if that lead is going to have a quality of motivation, right? Is it going to be a high motivation lead? Is it going to be a medium motivation lead? Or is it going to be a low motivation lead? One of my partners, Sean Terry, in our multifamily business, he talks about this as probability, high probability, low probability, or medium probability and low probability. But essentially, you can think of it as a simplicity as hot, medium, and cold, right? Hot is, I need to sell right now right now, ASAP. One of the questions is, how soon do you need to sell? And if they say now, that's a hot lead indicator, right? If they say within the next 30 days, they're telling you that they want to sell, but it's a medium. And then if it's cold, sometime within the next 3 to 6 months, it's a cold lead based on their urgency of how quickly they need to sell. Now you can go into distress, and distress essentially is what's their reason of why they're contacting you. What's great about data lists, Greg, is you get to completely focus and target marketing to a very specific niche kind of list, right? So you have probates that you can send information to. So when they call back in and you see it came from the probate phone number, right? You already know what that motivation is. You can have inheritance leads, people that inherited a property that are not living in the state, an absentee a type of motivated seller or motivated owner that doesn't live in the state and they have an inherited property, right? You can have those. You can have high equity leads. So you know that you targeted a potential high equity motivated homeowner, and when they call in, you probably know that they have a lot of cash available to them, and they need it probably for some of a vacation. Put mom in the hospital for whatever reason. Take care of mom, dad, whatever. What you want to do is be basically an instigator of finding out, and a detective on finding out what is their motivation for selling, because you have the urgency, which is the hot, medium, or cold. But now you got to find out their motivation. Why do they need to sell now? And why did they call you? A very huge question. Share with us from I think it was Fernando. Fernando, if you're listening right now, Fernando Angelelli, that's coming to CG. He actually had this question, I believe. I believe it was him that basically said, why did you contact us? This is beautiful. This is a beautiful question. You should actually add this to your questions for your marketing, because for either for you asking or for your call center or your lead manager asking that question, whoever's talking to the motivated owner, because that really gives you the edge now of you need to do more of that or less of that, because they may say, we called you because we really liked your logo. Well, that's awesome. Well, what did you like about my logo? That could be something that you follow up and you go, what is it that stood out in my logo? You know, one of the things on our logo is House Kings, right? So one lady, and I didn't think about this when we created this, but it just happened to be that way. She said, you know, Oklahoma is one of the Bible belts. So she said, I really saw king, and I felt like it was King of Kings, which is a biblical kind of a reference. And she said, I really felt drawn to your company, which is cool. I mean, I didn't really think about that, but wow, what's a great thing to know. You know, why did you contact us? Well, because you showed up first in the search engine. That's good to know. Why did you contact us? Because your postcard had a picture of a girl smiling, and it made me feel at peace. Why did you So these are great questions. These are great questions asked. So then once you have a motivated person on and you know their motivation, you know why they want to sell, right? Then you can go into setting the appointment. And once you set the appointment, right, from there, it can go to your acquisition manager. Now, if you're just starting out, you are going to be all these people. You are going to be the call center. You are going to be the lead manager. You're going to set the appointment. You're going to be the acquisition manager. You are going to go out and talk to the motivated owner, get the contract. You are going to now get the contract and try to sell it, which is what wholesaling is. We call it hot potato, because you have a contract and you basically sell the contract and your interest in the contract to a cash buyer. We call it A to B, A being the motivated homeowner, B being you, the wholesaler, B to C, you, the motivated, or you, the wholesaler, to the C, cash buyer. A to B, B to C, right? ABC wholesaling. And essentially what you do there is then you are going to be a part of dispositions, which is your sales process, right? So you have acquisitions and dispositions, right? And then from there, you're going to be a transaction coordinator, and then you're going to take it all of the steps from A to B to C to D to all the way to Z. It's going to be you. However, when you start building the team, you start having these people do these different things, and they focus on these particular things very well. One being a lead manager, one being a acquisition manager, you know, one being your dispositions on sales, one being your transaction coordinator, handles all the stuff with the title company, all that stuff, right? So, and then from there, essentially, you then get the property under contract. You have your acquisition manager, you go out, you meet with the homeowner, you get the property under contract, and then you send it in, and you're going to have title. In Oklahoma, we're a title state, right? So we're not just an attorney state, we're a title state. Then we're going to send that contract to a title company to immediately title search it. So we're going to do that because we want to make sure that there's any liens, judgments, anything, for as long as the person that we're dealing with has owned it, is anything that's going to pop up. And now let me give you a little tip here. Assume all motivated homeowners are liars.
Yep.
Assume every single one of them, however sweet they are, whatever personality type. In our coaching, we talk about the koala, the monkey, the shark, and the owl for personality types, right? And no matter what kind of personality type they are, and you should approach those very, very differently, give you a much, much higher ability to get these properties under contract. You can't approach an owl the same way as a shark, and vice versa. Once you figure out this homeowner and you're talking to them, you might find this idea that you believe everything they say. Now, on the surface, you don't want to act like you don't believe them. You do want to take what they say as fact. You want to take that when you're in the presence of them, because you're honoring what they say. But then what is it? Ronald Reagan said, trust and verify, right?
Yeah.
Trust and verify, right? So I trust you, Greg, that you're giving me all your information, that there's no liens or judgments on the property, that you don't have anything that taxes owed on it, water bills, or what we call super liens, or anything on there, no homeowner association fees that you're not telling me about. I trust you, right? No extra mortgages, but I'm going to run it to a title company, right? And the title company is going to be the law, essentially, right? The law of the land for transactions. And they're going to tell us, what do we need to be removed from title in order to have clear marketable title to a new cash buyer? And from there, once we know that, then we really have a very good grasp of what's going to take to sell this property and what's going to have to be paid off. And we're really getting a very good idea of what our profit is going to be. So that in a nutshell is kind of the process. And then once you make your first check, if you've never done a wholesale deal before and you make $10,000, $5,000, $3,000. I know some students made $100,000. Once you make your first wholesale check and you realize that you didn't buy the property to live in it, and you took a piece of paper that was a great opportunity and a great equitable piece of asset that you have, and you sold it to a cash-in buyer, and they're happy because they got it for a great deal and they want the property, and you were in between, and you realize that was one of the most exciting and more profitable ventures that you've ever been a part of, you'll just be on fire to do it over and over and over and over again. And you'll refine it and you'll get better. You refine it and you get better. You refine it. Oh, I've heard this objection before. You refine it and get better, right? Oh, that marketing piece really worked well. I know I'm going to send it to that list again. You refine it and you get better. And once you do that over and over and over and over again, that really is a definition of mastery. And you continue to work on your craft, which is what you're doing right now. It's why you're succeeding, which is what our team is doing, companies are doing, which is why we're succeeding. And that is one of the keys to having a successful business.
Absolutely. Guys, the amount of gold that Cory's been dropping today has been unbelievable. So he just walked you through, if you're a new investor, listen to this, pretty much from soup to nuts on how to wholesale a property, from getting the leads to taking it to the finish line of the title process. Cory, man, that was so freaking powerful. So guys, I just want to emphasize one more time. We started with the mindset. Now we got into the mechanics. We got deep into the weeds here. And Cory's just been an absolute pleasure to have on the show. So Cory, before we wrap it up, I want to talk about something that we had a conversation about at dinner back a couple weeks ago. And it was, just share anything, a major obstacle that you had to overcome. And I want to have everyone kind of hear it from you, whatever one you want to pick. And I want people to kind of realize, this business is definitely rewarding, but it's not easy. And the more obstacles you have to overcome, the stronger you're going to be on the other side of them. And when you're going through them, you think you're in the weeds. Like I remember when I started this business, I was like, it seemed like such a fantasy to be able to wholesale properties and make money in real estate, because I did it for free for so long because I wasn't providing any value. And it just seemed like the other side of the fence. It's like, oh my God, I can't imagine when I'm actually making money in this business. And when I was pushing through those obstacles, looking back now from a different perspective, it's like, man, if I wasn't persistent and I didn't overcome those obstacles, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, living the life I'm living. So if you want to share just any obstacle that you had that you overcame and what you learned from it, and then we'll kind of end with the Grateful Project and some contact information for you, and we can wrap the show up.
Man, I appreciate you. Again, I get excited. I get a little long-winded on this. This is exciting stuff. So I hope I did provide value. I did want to say really quickly, because I know you asked specifically about marketing before we roll into this last part. I want to give you some marketing mediums, because I do think that that's valuable. We talked about direct mail. Cold calling is another one. Greg, RVM, which is ringless voicemail. Emails is another one. Knocking physically on the door. IP stalking, which is basically like when you go to Amazon and they put a retargeting pixel on your computer, and all of a sudden those shoes you looked at on Amazon is now showing up on the Golf Channel when you're there and everywhere else. That's IP stalking. You can do that with your customer base. It's really powerful. Facebook and social media direct response messaging, just like you would text someone directly. You can do that same thing without being their friend. It's one of the fastest ways to do what we call skip tracing for free. texting. We already want to, whether that's skip tracing, where you hire basically a private eye type company that goes through and finds every thing they possibly can with an owner or their phone number, their address, their family members. Get in touch with people. These are fantastic for return mail that has vacant codes on them. Referrals, people that, still refer your company. And so it's important for you to do good business and do what you say. PPC, pay-per-click, organic, that's just on the SEO stuff on your own website. Billboards, we're experimenting with this right now. I'm super excited about some results that we're getting from billboards, TV, and penny saver advertising. So there's 15 there. I went over before, I think 8 on Facebook video, and so I added another 7. And so there, you definitely, I hope you wrote those down. So one of the big challenges that I went through in my life at the end of 2012 was I was getting ready to leave the country. Remember, rewind back to I was going to take that time to decompress. And then I decided instead of leave the country, I was going to go to Hawaii with a friend. And at the end of 2012, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer.
Holy cow.
And I mean, imagine this. I went through these personal, deep challenges in my own life, my relationship with my ex-wife. I went through a pretty painful divorce. My business partner, we went through a quote divorce because the business blew up and a lot more money came in, and money's a magnifier. So if someone is going to be a certain way at some dollar amount, it's just going to be bigger at a bigger dollar amount. And then I had at the loss mitigation stuff we're shutting down. So it was a lot of weight. And then I got hit with thyroid cancer, a lump in my throat. And it was one of the biggest aha moments of wake up in my life of what's really important. And I had the surgery. I had a thyroidectomy for the sake of time. Praise God, man, which I do believe it is all God, that I am now cancer-free, Greg, for over 6 years now, which is amazing. And through that process, I needed to have something to give me encouragement. And I just started posting because I had a pretty decent following on social media. I had a good base there. And I asked people to pray for me. And I'm telling you, even to this day, I think prayer is one of the most powerful things that any person can do for you and you can do for yourself. Because there's no way you can measure it. And the power is incredible. And I had thousands of people praying for me, and they were sharing their stories of all the people that were affected by cancer, bro. And it was humbling. So I started to post a reason every day to be grateful. And it was just like, I'm grateful for air. I'm grateful for my legs. I'm grateful for my hair. I'm grateful for my voice. I just started posting a reason to be grateful every day, because I started feeling pretty heavy. I didn't know if this cancer was going to go away even after the thyroidectomy. I didn't know how my life was going to be affected. I talk to other people where it's like it comes back and it's going to be worse. And I just had to have some kind of foundational, outside my relationship with God, like something I was doing on a consistent basis to have like a reason and hope. And man, that thing, I just happened to land in the right hands of people, which I don't believe is just a happenstance. I believe everything happens for a greater purpose. And now, like you said, we have the Grateful Project. And today, I believe we're on like day 1680 or 1679 of every single day that I posted a reason to be grateful. And people can go check that out at gratefulproject.org. We're doing a lot of stuff with that site. People have started their own sites, Greg. So their own day 1, day 2, day 3. And it's just been absolutely inspiring. And it is what I call more significance projects, basically, because that's really what life's about. I've had throughout this time of posting these grateful projects daily, I've had people reach out to me that were going to commit suicide, and they happened to read one of the posts, and just something spoke to them. Something just connected with them. On this particular one, it was a sunrise. I said, I'm grateful for a sunrise. And this guy's been following me for a long time in the business space, and just happened to be going through some really tough times in his own life, a military guy. So he had a really stern and aggressive, personality, and just like hard on yourselves. We're hard on ourselves more than anything. And he was just going to end his life that day. And I posted about a sunrise, and God's used that to connect to him, to basically say, tomorrow is a new day. There's going to be another sunrise, and there's nothing that you can do to make the sun stop coming up. And he basically thought that his sun was never coming up again. And there's stories, man, they're just so powerful. So yeah, that's been one of my biggest challenges was going through that, mostly mental and some physical, but just the mental space, what that took up in my life. But man, out of the biggest challenges in your life also comes some of the biggest opportunities, the biggest impact. So I'm grateful for that, man.
Man, that's awesome. I'm so happy you shared that, because I mean, this is, I think so far we've talked about so much good stuff today. This is my favorite part, man. I'm grateful for you, man. I'm grateful that, you went, obviously you got through that, and now we're talking today, providing value for everyone. And, those stories are so powerful. And I remember once we kind of got connected, you sent me those grateful bracelets in the mail, and I was grateful for that, obviously, during the holidays. So, man, so much value got shared today. I appreciate everything you've done for me and my listeners. And, if people were interested in kind of getting connected with you, seeing more about what you're about, what are some websites and ways people can contact you if they're interested in, hey, maybe working with you or following you on Facebook, anything that you can do to be a servant to them? I mean, there's so many things you can do to help people, and you have so much experience and so much value. It's amazing, man.
So yeah, I appreciate you so much for that. Again, I know it probably went a little longer today than what some of your other shows have been, but I hope I provide a lot of value for your listeners. That is my number one goal, is to serve them and I have a lot of value there. So if you want to connect with me, you can go to Cory Boatright, CoryBoatright.com. That you can kind of watch some of the personal stuff. And then on my business side, Corys Coaching, if you're interested in learning about real estate investing, particularly wholesaling, Cory, Corys coaching.com. And we have a podcast just like you said, the Real Estate Investing Profit Masters. You can just go to reiprofitmasters.com, and you can listen to some amazing episodes there. And lastly is our multifamily. And I'm really excited about our multifamily partners and our syndication partners and what we're doing there, and even finding ways to have direct response marketing for mom and pops. They're 50 plus units and above. So you can go to Investing Capital Group if you're interested in multifamily. So, me personally, wholesaling or multifamily.
Love it, man. Well, Cory, thank you so much for being a guest on the show today, man. I'm all fired up. I'm ready to rock and roll out here in San Diego. I love these interviews, man.
I do.
I love doing it. These freaking interviews are the best. You get to connect with your friends, provide value, and this podcast is a seed that'll be on the internet forever, and people will hear this years and years and years to come, man. So thank you so much for your service today, man. You've been an honor to be on my show, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
Greg, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
No problem, man. See ya.